Feels like during the winter break, it's always Ferrari speaking the most and certain media outlets speaking about the Ferrari car coming for next year and how fast it's going to be. This year, for the 2024 car, their 676 Progetto that is coming out very soon on February 13th, we do have some stuff that's confirmed, but also rumors and pictures of how this car could look like with its potential hybrid concept. I want to talk about the stuff that's confirmed and analyze the car that we have, going over it and really everything we really need to know about the 676 before it comes out. If you're new here, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It would mean the world to me, and like the video. If you're here already, thank you so much for watching. Let's get into Project 676. So I wanted to start off with the stuff that is confirmed for the car and that are big steps in the right direction before going over the car that I want to analyze. The actual project itself, 676, will it be called that? What is being spoken about is either the SF24 or the F2024. Now, I like both names. I think F2024 would be really sick for the car, but confirmation on, let's just call it the F2024 for right now, or Project 676, is that they have a 10.5 boost after a development milestone. Now, this was something big that came out, and a lot of places have covered it, like Crash.net. They covered it saying that the car itself is at the weight limit. The 2023 car was not at the weight limit, and a lot of cars on the grid actually were not at that weight limit, and now Ferrari has finally reached it, so that to them is already a 10.5 boost to their 2024 car. And for the 2024 car, now these are the things that are confirmed for the car that I wanted to speak about. They had a in-wash concept. Now, as much as it kind of looked like a downwash after the Spanish Grand Prix, it still wasn't. They still had that S-duct kind of connecting to that in-wash concept, and very little downwash was actually being put onto the car. Yes, that upgrade helped them with tire graining and so on and gave them pace, but the actual philosophy in the car did not change too much. We do know this will be a change. Now, there were rumors on this car that it was going to have these slide pods and so on, but now that's confirmed not to be the case for it. But what is confirmed, and what I do want to speak about for this car, are certain parts of the car we know that are coming. So for the suspension, it is confirmed they are changing that rear suspension. They even had a rumor that at some point in 2023 it would change, but we have confirmation that that is changed now for the 2024 car. They're changing the side impact structure. I've already talked about this before. I think this is a give me anyways. Obviously, it was before in the side pod, the very bottom of it. Now it is being integrated into the floor like most teams have it. Aston Martin has it that way, McLaren has it that way, Red Bull has it that way. There's plenty of teams that have it in their floor, integrated there, to actually go along with that floor concept. That is what Ferrari is doing. They are changing that front wing concept. Yes, they had those louvers that might stay, but they are going for a more Red Bull style front wing. We do know this, and it was tested on the Haas car in 2023. That second spec of the Haas that came, I guess the B spec that pretty much performed like their A spec, that front wing of that car was pretty much identical to what the Red Bull has. It's got that downward slope and promotes a lot more outwash from the front wing, not focusing as much on that middle part like most teams do to bring in inwash to the car and outwash as well. This is more just focusing that air going out towards the side of the tire, giving you more free air towards the middle. Now, the front wing isn't that important anyways. It gives you about a tenth if you nail it. This is being spoken about from Red Bull executives over there that are working on that car. They said that it pretty much gives you like a tenth whether you change it or not. So the actual impact of that is not huge, but it could be significant on the airflow of the car, because while it might only give you like a tenth and a half, the actual airflow in the car and how the car works does go all through the front wing. So how much is going to the underfloor, how much is really getting to that undercut in the side pods, and so on. Now, okay, here's where we get to the rumored part, and here is the picture that I have on screen. So, as I said, it does show you here that the side impact structure is moving. That is confirmed. We do know that. We do know they're going to change their side pods. It's pretty much confirmed that it's going to be a downwash concept. I don't know to what degree. They were speaking somewhere along like McLaren and Aston Martin with their whole slide pod thing. That's not going to happen. I don't think that's going to be the case, because this will be a hybrid with the Red Bull. That has already been spoken about. It's some ideas from Maranello, some ideas from the actual RB19. It's kind of that hybrid mix, which is kind of what you got to do. You can't go with the Red Bull design. You won't catch them in that type of way. So hearing these rumors is pretty good. Now on here, they don't have that kind of tray on their side pod like the Red Bull does, especially with their skinny side pods. I do think they're going to implement that because they talk about a more deeper undercut in its side pods. But something that's funny and that I wanted to speak about with a big rumor, to me this is a big change to the car. They were saying that for this car, for the 2024 car, they're going to keep that S-duct. Now, what the S-duct did was it promoted more airflow back up to the top in that in-wash concept. Now, this works really well for that straight line speed that they wanted and that aero efficiency that they never ended up getting. They got a lot of straight line speed, but the car was pretty inefficient in certain corners and very unstable and hard to actually predict how it will perform there. So what they're going to do and what's being rumored is that this S-duct design now will somehow be implemented within the floor. I don't really know how they can do this while keeping the S-duct. The whole point of it was to actually bring the floor air up to that side pod and wash concept, but I'd like to see what they do. That seems like a very interesting idea. As I said, you see here at E that is for the rear suspension. That will be changing. We don't know if it'll be pull or push rod, but there will be changes to it. And that the gearbox and diffuser, all that will now be more opened up. They're trying to reduce the gearbox. Obviously that Honda engine and the gearbox that Honda car, which is the Red Bull, has been superior to everybody else. Mercedes is implementing this, so obviously that's going to impact now McLaren and Aston Martin. So Ferrari is doing the same. They know they got to have a smaller gearbox. That could be issues for the reliability, but that's kind of where C comes in with the whole entire engine cover. This isn't confirmed, but they were one of the only teams on the grid that had a closed engine cover. Now, it does promote better airflow to the back of the car and give you straight line speed, but it's also for cooling purposes too, especially where you put the cooling louvers. But where their louvers were, those gills as you can call them, it wasn't really in unison with that whole entire side pod design, so they couldn't really do that for their cooling. They did have it on the F175 by the slightest bit, but it was a different car. So this will be more traditionally close to what we've seen on the grid. It's not going to be your in-wash concept that they like redefined with their bathtub design. While that was one of the most beautiful designs for a car, it just purely didn't work on tires, and that was where the biggest issue arose. They got to change that rear suspension to be able to actually compete with cars and lower the base of the car to be able to not shred those tires as hard as they did. These are all steps in the right direction. They're not extreme solutions to what they need, but they don't need extreme solutions. They just need a better, more aero-efficient car that is predictable. And from all the reports that we're hearing, Charles Leclerc is very happy with this car to what is coming out. Now, the last thing that is rumored and something that just kind of recently came out was a new solution around the halo. Now, them and Mercedes use this kind of double halo effect for cooling. It doesn't really add more performance or doesn't really do much per se, but this is kind of something they've been talking about. I do know that Aston Martin has these kind of upper wings on the sides of their halo. Maybe that's something that's being implemented in the car. It's not going to be something that redefines the Project 676 and makes it the ultimate car, but these are little additions being added onto the car and information that's being spewed out. Now, this information comes from Formula Uno and mostly Italian sources, and yes, they do buff up the car. If it's talked about simulation, don't listen to anything they say, because they love to say that this car is going to be 3 seconds faster. Like, we should expect this car to fly off the track. But that's not realistic. But they've been pretty good with actually depicting what the car will look like for the next year. I remember seeing a picture somewhere, and it'll be popped up on the screen, of what the 2023 car will look like. I remember seeing that the first time, and I was like, oh, will it really look this way? And it was actually very accurate to what we got with the 2023 car, that actual evolution from the 2022. It showed the side pods being shorter and more of that Coke bottle shape for the car, and that is what we got with the SF23. So that's kind of what gave me the idea for this video. And I liked talking about it. I think it's interesting seeing this now downwash concept, and hopefully this is where Ferrari will go with their design so we can speak more upon it. Obviously, I can't wait for the cars to come out and speak upon them in full. We're this close. We're so close for it, and a lot of news should be coming out soon for me to cover in videos. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe. It would mean the world, and